So, welcome back. Hopefully you got your drinks and your popcorn ready because we have an incredible game just moments away. It will be Team Dignitas, one of last season's absolute favourite and feared teams, going head-to-head with Kazna crew. Their bogey team almost, that always seem to kind of challenge the big dogs. And Kazna crew were not a team that on paper should be able to do it, but they always somehow managed. They always used to just niggle at their heels and just really pester them at the best times possible. So I daren't only think how you guys are going to be predicting this one, because head-to-head on paper, it's almost impossible to call. You take on, into account the overall performance, it's got to be Team Dignitas. The way these two played throughout Season 2, it's got to be them. But you look at the head-to-heads, it's all even. Both teams have gone back and forth. You can't split one from the other. So I'm going to ask you to have to call it. I'm going to have to ask you to actually, put your money somewhere on this. Where are we going, Dignitas or Kazna crew?
Like you, I'm on the fence a bit because Team Dignitas obviously didn't turn up at Gamescom for whatever issues, so that's going to knock their confidence a little bit, but it didn't seem to matter against Mousesports, where they actually managed to beat them 4-1. So they're still looking like a strong team, still looking like a team that can compete at the very top. Obviously, our Season 1 winners as well. So I think this could go either way, although the definite favourites will be Team Dignitas. So I'm going to have to put my money there. Whether it will be a close match or not, at least in terms of results, I think that's almost a certainty.
Well, the thing that gets me here is the fact that Team Dignitas so far are 1-for-1, basically. They lost in one of their first games against WoT. So they've already kind of had a shaky start to things. They picked up the next game, fair enough, but still, that's not how you want to begin any sort of season, especially after not being able to make it to the offline finals of the prior season. Now, you look at Kazna crew, almost an unknown element. They haven't actually played any games yet into this season, so they're certainly a team that are coming with a sleeve full of tricks that no one really knows yet, because we've already seen a lot of changes and a lot of adaptations coming in from both sort of teams. Every team's changed a touch, whether it be a major change of a player or just some tactic switch ups, and maybe introduce a new tank into rotation, like the Pershing, for example. Teams are adapting already, so I find this one very hard to call. Where's your money on for this one?
Dignitas.
Dignitas. Okay, I'm going to go for Kazna crew just to play devil's advocate here. But I want to know what you guys think at home. Hopefully the poll will be up nice and quickly so you guys can get your votes in. I know Melly's probably already done it, but hopefully it is up there so you can get your thoughts towards us. And I'm going to pass you over to the lovely lady herself to take you through exactly how you can get involved. So Melly, how can the lovely people at home get involved?
First, via Facebook. The poll is already online, and
we knew you'd already do it.
Too good. That's why I'm here. Ollie, well, the community has a different opinion on this matchup. They're voting around 71% for Kazna crew.
Wow.
Community favourites.
Yeah, seems
true.
like.
Very true.
And yeah, let's see what you guys at home think. Tweet me anything, what's on your mind. If you have any questions, if you have opinions, if you want to say something about our show, about the game or whatever, just use the hashtag WoT Pro League, and I will have an eye on Twitter and keep those two lovely persons next to me updated about your thoughts. And of course, you can win bonus codes by, well, we will be rewarding 3 tweets of the day. And besides that, you can take part in one of our little challenges. We have a prediction game going on Facebook /WoT Pro League, and where you have to guess or predict the exact outcome of a match, and then you're in the race and might get lucky and have some great bonus codes.
Can't go wrong with that. Good old bonus codes. They're always pretty good. So you've heard how you guys can get involved. Obviously, get over Twitter get over to Twitter, all the T's. I can't even speak today. I don't know why I have this job. And obviously get over to Facebook. Both easy ways to get involved and get yourself some lovely bonus codes. And obviously get us your questions as well. Anything about the Pershing, that man there will be able to handle it for you, or anything else, just put through to us and we'll happily answer it. So obviously we are just going to wait for these players to get ready. I know one of the team's members is running late, so they're trying to sort something out at the moment. But let's have a look at the lineup. So so we know who we might be seeing here. Take us through this.
So probably the most interesting thing in terms of changes going from Season 1 to Season 3 is you can see Crooks on the side of Kazna crew. He's actually transferred from Dragonborn's Odin Mortis, now just Odin Mortis. and now actually being sponsored by Razer, going through to those teams. So he's gone from Motormortis to the Kazna crew. Very good player. Like, he doesn't buckle under the pressure. He's always going to perform. But how is that going to change their team lineup? Because I know from personal experience, having played with him before, that he's a very vocal guy. He's very in your face.
Right.
He gets very angry in situations, a proper rager in many respects. So that could upset their lineup. But knowing Kazna crew, they're actually all vocal in the team. So it could actually not make any difference, and he could just be a brilliant player for them. And then the very sparse lineup compared to Kazna crew, that is Team Dignitas. The only real change I mentioned earlier is that Positive is going to be switching over to that team as well. He's actually played a couple of games for them as well. But apart from that, it's just a standard lineup. We've got Stalker, who's the team captain. Shanish plays that T69 so well. Povel, Garat, big heavy tank players. Povel playing the AMX 5100. Garat also liking that AMX 5100. Obviously, the rest of them switched between the AMX 1390s and the T1. So both an all-star lineup in many respects, although it could be argued that Team Dignitas has altogether a little bit more experience, especially with people like Garat, who played pretty much since day one in the competitive scene in World of Tanks. But generally speaking, they're pretty close, and it shows in the results, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
So those are our two teams. At the moment, we're waiting for Runes to come into the battle, because he is running late in traffic apparently or something.
He's here, so hopefully,
he's here.
yeah, I believe he made it in time. So
Nice.
there may be a chance of him to roll off a cliff. If you were watching Season 2, he's the player who did manage it, and I think that was on his debut, wasn't it?
It was his first match, I think.
Yeah, so that's one way to make an impression, to say the least. So he certainly made his name known with us very, very early on. But we'll have to see how that one pays off. But I do believe the first map will be Himmelsdorf. Now, looking at Evil Panda Squad, I don't think we got a true showing of this map, really. I think it's always a little bit of a skewed affair when they're involved. But what do you think we're going to see from these two? Because Dignitas aren't a team that do things like Evil Panda Squad. I don't think Kazna crew really are anymore. They went through a phase of doing a little bit Spale-esque tactics, maybe Evil Panda Squad at offline events to an extent, but they've kind of calmed down and they kind of consolidated into a really respectable team the way they play. What do you think we're going to see here from them?
I think Team Dignitas and Kazna crew are not altogether the best teams on Himmelsdorf, full stop. But I think Dinova is probably a better team.
Yep.
But Team Dignitas gets good results on this map regardless, just because they're such a brilliant team. But it's all about that heavy tank coordination, how you use those IS-3s in conjunction with your 5100s, or perhaps now even the Pershing coming into the equation. Now the T69 is slowly but surely being phased out of these games. So I think this one could go either way, although Kazna crew definitely being a stronger team than Team Dignitas in many respects, especially the way they kind of innovate on the map, the way they use the banana as well as that 2-3 line and the hill especially. But it's such a hard one to call. But I think this first one will go to Kazna crew, although the later ones will certainly be in the favour of Team Dignitas.
Well, it's going to be a tough call either way. I'm backing Kazna crew because I know how well they can play. I don't think we got to see the true showing of them at the last season finals. I think it was a little bit disappointing towards that second day even, excuse me. When the first day was, highly impressive. They really showed what they were made of. The second day they were very quiet and they became what we usually see from Kazna crew at these events. But they certainly have a lot of talent. And they've shown it, against Dignitas before, getting 3-1 victories and really good games against them. And I'm thinking if they do pick up this first map and they start building that confidence early on, it's going to pay off massively in their favor. And they're a team that I feel always depends on that confidence. They need it beside them. They need to start building from grassroots up. Once they get that first map, they're like, okay, second map, let's get focused now. And they start getting stronger and stronger. And if they keep doing that to Dignitas, who already had a very shaky start, I think we could be in for a bit of an upset already. I'm not too sure, though, because seeing Dignitas in a 1 win to 2 losses position is almost unheard of. Seeing them that negative, currently they're all even. They lost that initial game to OM, obviously, and then picked it up on the second, and that was to Mouse Sports. So it's a hard one to call, but I don't think Dignitas are one of those sides that can go negative anymore. I think they're almost beyond that. But of all people to face off against, Kazna crew in their defining game is a hard one for them. That's the thing. If you do look back at the results, if you look at the current WoTProLeague.com website, take off Season 3, put in Season 2 on the URL, you'll see that Dignitas have always struggled against Kazna crew, whether it be in, the first time they met in Playday 7 in Season 2 is a 1-3 result, obviously, against Dignitas. They only picked up 1 map. So it was a huge thing for that. You know, that whole event was insane. It was just Kazna crew really stepping up to the mark. Then in Playday 18, 3-1 Dignitas. They worked it out. And by that point, Kazna crew on a little bit of a downward slope, though, bearing in mind for me. Later season, Kazna crew didn't have that kind of passion that they started off with. I felt as though they did so well then. So we're going to have to find out if that's very true in this situation. It's a new season. Once again, it's a new start for both sides. But let's have a look at the tank picks so far, because I do believe they're just about getting ready. So what do you think we're going to see here?
If we're lucky, we'll see a Pershing like we saw Dinova take in the previous engagement. But these two teams haven't been known to take those tanks before, so we could not see that one at all. Starting off with the normal picks, double T1 from both teams, and then Stalker picking up that double AMX 5100 as well. So and the Kazna crew responding with a double 5100 as well. So 2 T1s apiece, 2 AMX 5100s apiece as well. Now looking towards the IS3s, obviously teams sometimes pick the triple AMX 5100, some pick the double AMX 5100 and that triple IS3. Nope, Team Dignitas going for the T69, so they're not going to pick up a Pershing here, I don't think, unless they want to get T69 and a Pershing, which I think will be an unwise choice, that's to say the least. So they are going to pick that T69 along with that IS3. See if they can use that penetration work. It will be going towards the hill probably, although teams are starting using it a little bit more towards the middle area and getting the hull down positions as well early on. And then the double IS3 coming out from Kazna crew. That'll be defending the Banana Road, or possibly just staying in towards the middle a little bit more, trying to get the initial shots off, especially with heat ammo. It can still do, you know, upwards of 150 damage if it really gets lucky. Obviously, 25% to the amount of damage it can do. Last pick from Team Dignitas will be the 5100. So they are going to go for that triple AMX 5100 lineup, along with that IS3 and that T69 as well. Looking for the last pick from Kazna crew as well. I think they will also pick perhaps a 5100, maybe not, maybe, or maybe the T69. Okay, it's going to be a mirrored lineup then, in the form of a triple AMX 5100, IS3, T69, double T1. Not quite mirrored because Kazna crew have to pick the extra IS3 along with that T69, so pretty close, but not quite the same.
Yeah, so we're going to just have to find out which choice was maybe better made, or which execution or strategy will really pay off here, because you saw it in the last game, you know, the final game before the last 2 matches. It's going to be, it can come right down to the wire, and a little bit of decision making can give you the advantage. But then again, these two truly are giants of World of Tanks. So we're going to have to find out, but let's have a little bit of an introduction video into what we could be seeing on Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is a city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
Thank you very much, Joe Miller. But in the north this time, it will be Kazna crew facing off against Dignitas in the south. So what are we seeing initially from these 2 contestants?
So Team Dignitas doing something a little bit unusual. We've seen teams shy away from the hill. They're not going to pay attention to that. Garat, Shanish, and Povil. Shanish playing the T69, Garat and Povil playing the AMX 5100s. Going up towards the hill straight away. We've got Angel Killer looking after the Banana Road with that T1. Arclate in the IS3 in the middle, and that will take the whole of Team Dignitas. And I think it's a little bit of an interesting tactic. I'll have to see how that worked out, as Kazna crew have gone to exactly the opposite side of the map. We've got the 5100s, the T69s, as well as that T1 over towards the right, over towards the 1 line, and the final player being that T1 over towards the 8 line, ready to perhaps spot anything out from the hill or the middle. So these teams on the opposite side of the maps, in terms of better position, none of them have it. It just depends on what they do. Obviously, Shanish, if he does manage to get into the position just around this hill here, around this castle, I guess you could call it, he can get some good shots along the D line here and potentially do a lot of damage. Obviously, the T69 has about 1,000 damage if it managed to connect all 4 shells, average at least. And Pavel Positive on the other side, though, he's in a bit of an interesting position because he's kind of stuck here. It's a good one because he can defend the whole 2-3 line if they do end up pushing along. But if he gets caught out where he manages to shoot all 6 shells and is on a reload, he could be in big trouble, and that could leave Team Dignitas in a very, very vulnerable position. But now Team Dignitas know they have the hill, they know they have that advantage. They'll be looking for that T1 first, or perhaps even anything else the side of Kazna crew have left for them on the hill. But both teams, no spots, no information to start us off with. Both quite happy to just get the first couple of minutes under their belts, get the first couple of informations, and then react on that. And Kazna crew also passive towards the 2-3 line. They're sitting there, they're going to be waiting there, using T1 to go first and foremost forwards, and see what they can do from that point onwards.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll have to see if that pays off indeed. Very slow start between both of these two. 7 minutes and 30 remain in this match. Is the first game, obviously, here. And we are just going to wait for a move to be made from either side.
Yeah, now Shani's trying to get some spots out along the D line. Not found anything so far, so he's not going to be sticking around because he can be in a very vulnerable position on the hill if he does get caught out there. Obviously, he's pretty much a sitting duck up that hill. Positive, along with that 5100, is actually going to be retreating from the base location straight away, going towards the castle if he can. But pretty much the whole of Team Dignitas just waiting to sit up the hill, waiting for any opportunity to move up, waiting for perhaps a push from Kazna crew. But again, if this is a draw, then we'll be moving on to our next map.
That is exactly it. It will just go all the way through, and I'd be very surprised to see Kazna crew playing for a draw. They have finally spoiled out that IS-3 of Arclit, but it's no surprise to see him in this position. It's all very standard so far. Only move really been made by Hyber coming back round in that T69. I love seeing him in that tank. But no aggressive play. Extremely passive from Kazna crew. And why do you think they've gone for this defensive posture already?
Just waiting for Team Dignitas to make the first move. They haven't got anything to lose. Nalan will get taken down by Shanish. Very good sniping shot from him. Nalan not in particularly great position there. Maybe got caught on the rotate. But now Kazna crew have that information. They are going to start moving up. Hyber's going to move with that T69. He doesn't want to get caught out by Shanish and possibly Pavel and Garat behind in those 5100s. He'll get focused down within seconds. Positive also going to be looking up towards the 8 line, ready to counter anything from Kazna crew. That is a classic tactic, and I think the first spots coming out will give Team Dignitas a good bit of information, exactly what Kazna crew wants to do here, and that is push straight up that 2-3 line. Yeah,
they are slightly mobilizing here. They have taken out that T1 of Stalker, but then again, he is the team leader for Dignitas, so it can still leave at least some communication out in his hands. Still Mojo and Hyber both pushing up here. You can see they are looking like they want to make their way through that IS-3 and T69 combo, renowned in this position for its utility and uses. And you can see the rest of the guys are pushing up slowly but surely behind Runes. And Veko doing just the same. Dark Dawn sitting further back there, so a little bit safer play from him. But still, trying to make it work. Still Mojo edging right ahead, so he's really gained some ground here. Looking to make something happen.
Yeah, well, look, Team Dignitas also reacting nicely to this bit of play from Kazna crew. Getting the information early on and really using it to their advantage. But look now, Shanish has gone forward in that T69. He did get spotted out by Dark Dawn, but no damage exchange, so no harm done. Just a little bit of information knowing that Team Dignitas haven't got all their tanks going back to the base. And also for the side of Team Dignitas, knowing that the IS-3 is defending their base, so they have to come up from a different angle. But now Team Dignitas really on the rotate, ready to deal with anything from the side of Kazna crew. And find themselves a nice position if they can. Those AAA MX-51s do act as pretty much perfect focus fire tanks if they can get into the right positions and really start connecting the shell. That IS3 of Dark Dawn being spotted out by Angel Killer once again. He'll have him pinned down, so anything he does do will be immediately digested, I guess, by Team Dignitas, and they can start making their moves on that. But at the moment, Team Dignitas quite spread out throughout the map. They've got tanks here, there, and everywhere, which could be an advantage if it does come down to it, but also could be fatal.
Yeah, and looking at Kazna crew, they made their initial push, found nothing, and they have made their way back. Further spots have been made. Still, Mojo did receive 2 shells now. 886 left towards him. So at least they're aware of the remaining members that they're up against. But no massive moves been made yet. These guys are very static in what they're doing. We're seeing a couple more tanks slowly but surely appearing. Garat getting slapped back. Oh, lovely following shot from Hyber there. 2 good shell connections towards him. And that's the threat of that T69. Such great shell damage coming out. And Garat only on 914 now has to kind of readjust accordingly. And 3 minutes and 14 remain on the board. So right now, Kazna crew did make some good ground, but they really haven't stuck with it. They've come back, played at a defensive posture. They're one of those teams that can switch between aggression and that defensive nature they like to go for. And I think right now we're seeing a little bit of that defensive side coming out from these guys.
Yeah, right now Shanish and Arklit pushing forwards. Arklit's going to jump straight across that mound of dirt. Shanish is going to go to the left, though. Garat's behind in the AMX 5100. Runes and Hyber being sweated out. First couple of shells being connected by Shanish.
Yeah, indeed. Shanish is landing those shells indeed. First fire is going towards Runes, down to only, well, no HP. Positive claims that last shell. Hyber and Still Mojo could not get even a glimpse into this. Arklit received 1, now down to 1252. And Still Mojo needs to get into this, trying to at least obscure some of the vision from any players down that 1 and 2 line. Focusing down onto Shanish, 933 on towards him. Hyber now pushing in the T69, does not connect, receives a shell himself. 981, finally here comes the damage. Veko getting involved. Positive still lays in wait, so they've got to be careful, but Veko is looking like he wants to get this. Oh, lovely covering fire from Povil. The crossfire setup here is absolutely astounding from Dignitas. Dark Dawn now trying to move in towards Garat, but he's receiving a good fair bit of damage. Arklit now focusing down towards the remaining HP of Still Mojo. He's low right now, he's bleeding. He looks like the viable target, 43 HP, and he's gone. Shanish will claim that one and hand a firm advantage to the Dignitas side, but here comes Hyber, here comes Dark Dawn, leading into the fight here. 630 damage dealt, only 54 HP. He is out of there, and now Dark Dawn feeling very lonely as Povil's eliminating his standing teammates. He goes down to the similar fate, now leaving only Veko alive really in any sort of damage dealing role. He's tried to do work, but it's too little too late. He's surrounded by them, and Arklit will put him out of his misery. And now one man stands, but for how long? Cobra Leone, there we go. Now in a 1v, well, too many, 1v6. He's got no hope in hell. I wish he did. But even with that clock ticking, this looks as though it will be a Team Dignitas victory here on the first map.
Absolutely crushing Kazna crew. That was just no competition at all. That was like your worst team against your best team. It was absolute domination like we haven't seen in a very long time. Just every single step Kazna crew did, they just got answered back by a better step from Team Dignitas, literally within seconds. They lost it pretty much when God Runes actually got himself focused down, otherwise known as Runes, really quickly, and he was just obliterated in that 5100. That means they were 7 points down, but obviously a tier 8 tank down as well. And they couldn't really come back into them. When they did try and get back into it, Team Dignitas had tanks dealing with every situation. Povil in the background, that 5100 ready to provide the backup. And then Still Mojo coming around the IS3, even though he was on 900 HP. He got quickly dispatched. Not good, particularly good IS3 play from him. And from that point onwards, losing 2 tier 8 heavy tanks, it was game over.
Yeah, that was a swift dismissal once the game kicked off, and Dignitas, felt comfortable within the time. They run it right down, but they're so good at those situations. That crossfire was absolutely perfect. No one could move from Kazna crew. Every time they tried to, mount the attack or split the attention, it was just immediately dealt with. And there was literally no way through. So Himmelsdorf will go to Team Dignitas here in the first map of the second game in Matchday 3 of Season 3 of the WoT Pro League. So it's already looking good for Dignitas. Some building up where they left off in Season 2. They had such a strong season, but they can slip, and they're against a team that certainly can force it. They can, put the banana peels on the floor and kind of push them forward. But whether or not they can do it now, I don't know. But Himmelsdorf always seems to be a strong Dignitas moment. They may not be one of the best teams on it, but they always seem to have some strength towards their execution in the smaller moments. It always seems to suit them well. But I'm hoping the map will change and we can get the tank picks underway nice and quickly. But I think next up will be Abby, and I will always support Kazna crew on this map. I like the way they play. I think even, you know, with runes in the mix, and, you know, that's a danger. It's still one of their stronger maps in my mind, the way they execute and the way they control the middle section. It's a beautiful sight to see, and I hope they do it now. So let's chuck you into the tank picks, because I think they are almost ready to get that underway. So let's have a little think exactly how long they're going to be taking. I'm thinking they might just be switching a couple of players around as well. They've both got quite extensive lineups, bear in mind. So I think the first pick may have come out from Hyber. But other than that, it's all very quiet on the Western Front. But what do you think we're going to see pick-wise from these guys? Is it going to be the normal Abby lineup? Do you think we're going to see a T69 possibly in the hands of Hyber? Or are we going to have 1390?
So it's really a question if these two teams want to use the caps to get the win, like we saw Dinova do against Evil Panda Squad, or if they just want to go for the standard, you know, brawl. It's really a 50-50. T1 AMX 1390 coming out from Kazna crew to start off the proceedings, and then we got the double T1 from Team Dignitas. So both teams not giving away too much at the beginning. They might decide to switch things up later on. It depends if they want to pick the Pershing like Dinova did. And you've got to remember back to that game, it was all about distraction within the late game. That's so important on Abby. It can go to a draw. This is a hard map to play. Don't get your hopes up for a quick game. It's a real struggle, being such a complicated and diverse map in many respects. Next pick from Kazna crew will be the MX 1390 as well. So an MX 1390 apiece, double T1 apiece as well. So it's pretty interesting picks to start off with. They're pretty normal in many respects. 3090 for the initial spot, and the T1's just there to do any kind of spotting out in the base, or perhaps put some pressure on, like we saw from Dinova.
Yeah, it's always nice knowing what those T1s do. It's probably the most asked question that we still get that makes us shudder in fear. But I think everyone got a bit of an answer as to what they can do. Last time we saw this map, it was the defining map between Dinova and EPS, that the T1s can force so much pressure onto even the biggest tanks. Yeah,
indeed. And the next pick from Team Dignitas, double AMX 1390. And that'll be followed by Kazna crew with the 5100 and the 1390. So going for that firepower. I believe they'll be starting up north, so maybe actually they're starting from the south, so they'll be going for the high damage tank. Double T69 from Stalker as well. That'll be for the middle. That'll be for the middle Abbey area, trying to use the hull down of that turret to its best advantage, to its strength. Kazna crew AMX 1390 will be their last pick, and I believe that'll be mirrored, or perhaps Team Dignitas will switch up with the triple T69 lineup. We haven't seen that a while on Abby, but it could be brought back here into Season 3 as the mistakes of Season 2 really start dominating these guys' lineups. But just weighing on that last pick from Team Dignitas. I think it's going to be a close match. I think both these teams have the potential of really taking this one. I did call it wrong on Himmelsdorf, though. I didn't think Kazna crew would make quite as many mistakes as they did, but that could be just indicative of the fact they haven't played any match day so far. They actually vetoed their first game, so they haven't got any experience. They were supposed to play Spale. That's where Team Dignitas has it.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to have to wait and find out if that's really going to come into effect. It may very well do into this. That's the danger. Well, I don't know. I really don't know between these two. And I think Stalker getting his pick still going.
Yeah, he's just picked the 5100 to round us off with. So a bit of an unusual lineup from Kazna crew, going for the quadruple AMX 1390, AMX 5100 double T1 lineup. So they're going for a hell of a lot of firepower, a hell of a lot of maneuverability, and just with that 5100 to kind of give it a little bit of balance with a bit of HP, 1.4k, and a little bit more damage. But if they can use those MX 1390s to their greatest strengths, which is just being able to push through flanks, get from A to B extremely quickly, and use that brilliant F3 gun to deal quite an extraordinary amount of damage in a relatively short amount of time, we'll have to wait and see. But Team Dignitas going for something completely normal. MX 1390 times 2, T69 times 2, the 5100 there as well, and to finish off with obviously those two T1s.
Now, I don't know why, but I always like seeing a T69 amongst Kazna crew. I don't know if it's just because I saw, you know, the likes of Hyber doing so well in it before. He does do just as adequately in the 1390, but in my eyes, I feel as though they both did so well. You know, well, at least Hyber did well for his team when it got into that situation. I loved seeing that, but Still very strong on that 1390, so it's all eyes on him for me. So guys, let's give you a little bit of an explanation video towards what you might be seeing here on Abby.
Welcome to Abbey, a hard but gratifying map to master. Abbey is 1,000 by 1,000 meters and has 3 main routes of attack. The left mountainous area, through the Abbey in the middle, or in the trench to the right. The house area in the middle, the winding trench road, and the treacherous mountainous area. The Abbey area can be moved upon on a central road. Often the two teams battle it out for the higher ground. The mountainous area often sees intense action as it overlooks the Abbey and provides key access to the enemy's base. The base area can also be accessed via the trench and is a common route of attack. It is essential to defend your base. Teams must pay close attention to their tank setups and in particular how they utilize them to greatest effects on what is a very complicated map.
So, welcome to the ever-complex Abbey. We will be seeing the north populated by Kazna crew facing off against Dignitas in the south. Currently one map to the good. So, what are we seeing so far? So,
just get it out of the way. Stalker going to the right. Shanish in the middle of that T69. Positive, keeping it cool in the background with that T69 as well. Ready to support Shanish towards the middle. So Pavel going up the hill on that 5100. Apawal will be leading the charge in the 1390 to his left. Garat also playing the 1390, obviously Apawal will be there first. He'll be the fastest tank in that situation because of the spawns. The whole of Kazna crew doing what you like to see, playing the central area to greatest effect. If they can use Hyber in the T69, which he's not playing, he's playing the 1390. It will be the winning move, but I just don't like the 1390 on the Abbey. I think it doesn't have the gun depression to really be used effectively. It can be extremely hard to get the damage down you want. First kill coming from Apawal onto Cobra, own still Mojo, also being spotted out from Kazna crew by Apawal. But now both teams have a good idea where the other one is. The MX-1390 of Apawal spotted. The first couple of shells coming down from Hyber, and I think Apawal's got to be careful. He's got to make sure he doesn't get focused down, and any stray shells that come from Hyber can possibly land onto Pavel in that massive box. That is the MX-5100.
Yeah, indeed. And I want to see how Kazna crew get out of this. In this situation, I'd always feel surrounded. That's the one issue for me. There's such versatility on this map as to where teams can play, and there's so many different routes that they can take that I'd be terrified that I'd be surrounded. And these guys seem quite cool, calm and collected. There's look at Runes just hiding away in his lovely little village. Oh, look at that lovely little door. Anyway, that aside, we do see Shanish and I think it's Hyber there just exchanging a touch, and Hyber's actually in severe trouble. He's got a good couple of shells coming through towards him. Already down to 6-2-1, so not in the best of shapes, and they've only got one spot out really. So this could be another little bit of a misplay coming in possibly from Kazna crew by expecting the exchange to go down in the center. As good as they are at it, why would anyone play into their hands? That's the issue. If even I know how Kazna crew play this, I'm pretty sure Dignitas can work it out as well. They're not a team that will not do their homework. So maybe Kazna crew need to switch something up here.
Yeah, they certainly need to switch something up, and I think they're rusty. I think that's what it comes down to. They don't have the couple of games which Team Dignitas, even though the first one was a loss, have those under the belt, and you can see it. They're rusty. They're taking shots here, there, everywhere. Randomly, a bit of damage coming into the tanks, and I think that's the worst thing that can happen, driving out of position. Although maybe they've been training, it doesn't seem like it's working too well as Team Dignitas now 400 HP up, and which can make all the difference when it comes to a brawl, which you often have on Abbey. But now 7 minutes left until the end of the game. Well, 3 minutes in. So who will make the first move? Stalker's starting to push up a little bit, trying to get some proxy spots out. Kazna crew headed over towards the green side, but Stalker looks so pretty in these flowers. I don't think he wants...
lavender field.
It doesn't want to leave. You know, when I first played this game, I always had a really bad computer. I did not know these flowers existed. Got a good computer, put the graphics on highest, and I was like, what the hell? And then, where did these come from? But it was a good sight.
Indeed. Very, very beautiful lavender colour flowers there. But away from beauty, we are seeing some sheer muscle play coming out from Kazna crew. Going to make their way up the 8 line, if I can remember how to speak again. I'm struggling struggling today. I don't know why. I don't even know what's going on with me, but it is the likes of Runes, Veko, and Dark Dawn all heading up in those 1390s, switching off from their central play, leaving only one player back there. I believe it's still Mojo in that 5100, just holding the back line, really, allowing these guys to use their strength. Stalker will spot them. Maybe Veko and Roos don't quite want to give everything away, but they are backing off now. They seem a little bit worried. They seem as though they've hit a very small bump and they're terrified of going over it. So backing away here, what is their choices of moves now they have managed to spot that little T1?
They got a few options, but I think they got really unlucky there, full stop. Stalker literally just got himself into position, like within the second. It was perfect catching them on the rotate. It was a perfect little bit of play from Stalker in that T1, showing how much experience comes into the equation. And now it's allowed Team Dignitas come behind because they know those three MX-1390s are not in any position to protect the other MX-1390, and now still Mojo in that 5100 in the middle. Now you can see that's what's happened. Garat's gone off towards the back of the base, Apoel in the middle, and I think Apoel now is undoubtedly the best player of Team Dignitas, especially in the 1390. But Garat has really started to play up a little bit, really started to show how experienced he is. He's actually going to find Veko in that 1390. He's going to back out of there because he doesn't have the gun depression, and obviously the gun elevation is better than the gun depression on that T69. But look at Garrett, it's going to take another one, 249. I think he could be in trouble.
Yeah, indeed, they are making their move. Veko did get knocked down to 850, but Garat is the one now being focused down by Dark Dawn. Great shell connection. He has been eliminated. Veko will claim that, and they have retained full players bar that T1 that fell very early on. Applewell being spotted, as is Shanish now. Still, Mojo receives a good couple of shells. He's got Povel on his heels, and Shanish joining in. One more will connect. Takes him down to 664. That's positive coming in with that T69. Paluda game taken low in the T1. And now, really, still Mojo is in a lot of trouble. You can see the fire now coming in from the rest of his side, trying to elevate and, well, take away some of the pressure that is now being just heavily steeped towards him. Povel dancing around, and you can see the other guys not too far away either. Positive backing away in the T69, as the rest of the Kazna crew boys gonna just try and play a little bit from their own back line. Veko, Runes, and Dark Dawn in those 90s getting into a more defensive posture here because Dignitas is showing their hand.
Dignitas certainly did, and now Povel is kind of stuck where he's left himself. Although good damage came out from Shanish onto still Mojo, leaving him at 664. It does mean Povel is kind of stuck where he is. He could get himself focused down by the MX-1390, although not the best sniper in the world, that's for sure. And it certainly can land those shells under the experienced hands that is Kazna crew. But now Applewell's also found himself a good position. He's going to get the high ground, try and get some sniping shells down onto Kazna crew. Shanish has gone back here, all ready to try and deal some damage. But you've got to remember that Positive is only just joining the fight. He's only just getting himself in position, and he'll be the one really to connect the shells. The T69 is such a fantastic sniper, and I think, you know, I think Kazna crew are going to be a little bit worried, although they now have Garat in the bag and he has been taken down. I would say that Team Dignitas always comes back from danger. A couple of shells connecting, but no damage. Dark Dawn's going to have to get himself out there. 219, but look at that. Runes is going to be straight in there to protect his team. Applewell actually bouncing a shell from Still Mojo. That'll leave Still Mojo with 5 left in the drum. Trying to connect another one, that'll leave it with 4. So as soon as he goes down to 0, I think we'll see the whole of Team Dignitas collapse onto that 5100.
We're going to have to wait and see if they do indeed go for that. As you saw, Runes there quickly get into the covering fire position, but Positive now showing his face. Still, Mojo looks a little bit nervous. You can imagine why. He's only steps away. Good shell connection onto Positive there, knocking him back from an easy position. This defensive posture coming from the Kazna crew guys is exactly what they need to fight their way out of this one, because right now they can't really go head on into Dignitas. They know that. They're not in the advantageous positions allowing it, so they're just going to have to play from the back line at the moment. Applewell going to try and get some shells through. Rune's still keeping eyes on. You can see it there. He's literally watching for that pixel out of place. Applewell not going to be challenging like that, but oh, another shell comes in towards Runes. He's now down to 846. No reply, though.
No reply indeed. Positive is still on the Abbey. He's going to be reloading, so he's going to be out of the equation for at least 25 seconds. But what's Stalker going to do? He's found himself a nice position up on the hill, trying to get some spots out onto Runes, keep that one proxied. but Positive is, no, Povel is the one proxying that 50-meter rule. Dark Dawn being spotted now again, 4.39 on his AMX 1390. And this is a really odd position for both teams because both could win this one, although Dark Dawn's going to take a few shells.
Yeah, indeed. 199, he's gone down to the hands of Applewell, but we did see Rune splitting off very early in his 1390. I want to see if he can actually make it out of here. And I think he is just about getting away. He's going to try and come around, loop around the back of the opposing player. You can see he's trying to do it right now to alleviate some of the pressure that's being applied towards the remaining 1390s on the flag. Desperately on the hunt for Applewell, and he has found him. He needs to make this work. He has tracked him 177. Get the follow-up. You need it, and he does. Good play coming in from Runes, and now he's working them down. But where's the reply from Dignitas? I think we're seeing it in the form of Shanish now making his way through. Here comes the covering fire, though. That is exactly what they need. Veko, get those connections. 286, 25 HP. He's out. A lovely play coming from Veko in the nick of time. But here's Povel. 199 left towards him. And it's going to be everything from Still Mojo. It's not enough, sadly. But there is still Runes. There is still Veko. And they're still trying. Veko does receive another shell. But he's going down fighting at the very least. And look at this almost triforce between these guys. You've got Hyper to the left, Veko at the back, and to the right, Runes. So they have some form of crossfire. But whether or not they can do anything with it, completely different question.
Oh, I think Povel is in the worst position. I think Team Dignitas is in the worst position. Anything he does do will be caught out by Kazna crew. They have the Harper ground. They can get the spots out. They have plenty of view range on those 1390s, probably around the 400 mark. But I think it will be dropping down to not a draw. I think. Wait, is it a draw? Well, it's not a draw full stop because we have draws anymore. Yeah. But it's going to be a draw in terms of tier points. We've got 24 for the side of Kazna crew and 18 for the side of for Team Dignitas. So I didn't even see the time then, to be honest.
I completely forgot about it. That yeah. 10 situation in mid, I was
that
like,
was
no,
so incredible.
No,
like if we had another 3 minutes. We would have seen a winner then, and I think it would have been Kazna crew.
The way they turned that around from the literal back line then, it was so impressive to see. Veko doing work, Runes, and Hyber. Those three deserve a pat on the back.
Yeah.
The way they played that back, literally, they were fighting uphill the whole way. It was unbelievable. Dignitas got the early upper hand then. They certainly did. By no means, by no small feat. Kazna crew went all in towards that central Abbey position, and I don't think that really worked in this. Because Dignitas never really challenge head-on there. They always play it smart. They may send one player initially, but they'll never go all in. So I don't know if that was a little bit of a misjudgment from Kazna, but they certainly brought it back then.
Yeah, they brought it back in style as well. Yeah. Especially Hyber on that hill. It was a pretty ingenious position.
Certainly.
And then Runes' play coming on to Apple. Apple didn't even have any response for that. I think he might have thought it was coming, but not quite as quickly.
No.
But generally, both these teams on that map, pretty incredible to see. If it goes that close, it's just amazing. We'll be moving on to our second map, which will be Ruinberg.
Yep.
And again, a map which I can't really definitively say a team is better or worse at, although Team Dignitas have come out on top in this one before. It's just one of those maps where it's quite a new anyway. We brought it in Season 2, but teams don't seem to have broken the meta yet.
No, definitely not. There's still that kind of... There's a lot of variation within it.
Yeah.
You see a lot of team personality coming out on it, and you also see some really interesting plays on it, let alone that ammo racking. Let's ignore that ever happened. But that aside, there's been some beautiful stuff on here. The choice between the city and the village, there's been some lovely sniping coming in, and it's very cautious and tentative in that village as well. It's about not showing too much, keeping just enough up your sleeve to be able to surprise the opponent. And I'm enjoying the way Ruinberg plays out. It's a very, very interesting choice coming through here. And looking at the way the last two maps went, who do you think is currently in better form? Because I think the last map personally was Kazna crew showing what they're good at, which is fighting from backs to the wall. And I think they did extremely well at that to bring it back to a draw, because they certainly had the disadvantage initially. Whereas the first map, that was Dignitas at their finest. Good crossfires, good setup, that cool, calm, collected under pressure. No worries there. Who do you think's game style and gameplay to this point will suit Ruinberg a little bit better?
I don't know. I think it can come down to two options, basically, as you said, the city and the village. And I think in terms of the city fight, Team Dignitas have it. But then Kazna crew, they use the 1390s a little bit better, and they have a better kind of a situational awareness. They can position their tanks, like we saw on Abbey, so well if they're given a couple of minutes to do it. So I think that can always come into the equation. But now we can jump into tank picking, double T1 from Team Dignitas, and that will go to Kazna crew as well. So 2 T1s apiece, 2 T69s apiece as well. So they're not messing around with the early picks. Both these teams like on a T69. Remember last time on D-Nova, they picked pretty much one of each tank used in WoT Tanks Esports in these for 742. But now waiting on our third pick for Kazna from Team Dignitas even, and I think we could see potentially something unusual maybe, or maybe just a couple of AMX 1390s here, going for that initial spot early on, trying to get some good spots for the T69s, or perhaps even a Pershing if we're lucky. AMX 5100, AMX 1390 will be their pick, so that's nothing unusual at all. 5100 there to provide the firepower with such a fantastic sniping gun. Absolutely love that thing. But 48 seconds reload kind of does make it hard to play, unless you're someone like Kiri Lloyd or Inspire even from Na'Vi, who just godlike, or Power Slide even. So MX 6100, MX 1390 from Kazna crew will be their third pick. So mirroring all the way to the end against Team Dignitas, but this is not where it matters. It only matters when we get to that last pick. If these teams want to switch anything up, it will be in that one. But now just waiting for Team Dignitas. It will be their 5100. Their last picks are going for the double 5100. So something we've seen them do before. Really liking the firepower and the HP that comes along with that tank. But we're just waiting on the Kazna crew side. I think they might also go for the 5100. But it's their chance to counter here. Could be T69, could be an AMX 1390, or like Team Dignitas, the 5100.
And I'd be very surprised to not see them go for that 1390, and they haven't. Wow. Why do you think they went for that?
I think they go for that just because they see Team Dignitas take 3 big autoloaders, the 5100s and the MX 1390s. So let's pick another T69, and that's what the T69 does well, because it's 25 seconds reloads to the 33, 38 seconds reload, depends what kind of crew you have and skills of the MX 1390, and the 48 seconds you have on the 5100. It can really punish those tanks. It gets 4 shells out. The other one can't take it out because it misses a shell or bounces a shell in the side of, or it just does low damage. Then it just reloads quicker and just punishes you.
Well, that's only a good choice then.
Indeed.
I shall never doubt Kazna crew again, ever. And I do get to see Hyber in the T69, so I'm already happy. Any chance I get to see the man playing that tank kit makes me extraordinarily happy because he's just so damn good at it. And I think we saw the 1390 prowess throughout the entirety of the last map from Kazna crew. And you can never take it away from Dignitas, though. I harp on about Kazna crew because they are the underdogs on paper head-to-head with Team Dignitas. Even just the tags alone are terrifying. You know, the fear of a name is just as important as the fear of a team, because when you're coming up against the likes of Na'Vi, WoT Pro, Team Dignitas, you know you're in for it. Whereas Kazna crew, they are the community favorites. They're a team that can do well, but there's not that kind of inherent sense of fear coming, you know, up against them. But I'm looking at them to cause a bit of an upset here, because obviously Dignitas is still up 1 map. Basically, the last game was nullified, pretty much. It was a draw. It's all even on that aspect, but Dignitas still picked up Himmelsdorf, so it's still in their favor. To bring it back all even, Kazna crew need this one. And I'm hoping that they can do it here for their sakes, because they did so well on that first day of the finals that we saw. They can pull out insane results. They can do stupidly good work as well, and I love watching them play, but it's so inconsistent at times. They can hit that top level, you know, for a moment, and then they can slip down as well. It's not just that consistent, okay, we are a top tier team. They can be good, and then they can be great. It's very up and down, and I find it very hard to predict which one's going to, you know, what Kazna crew is coming out. With Dignitas, I feel as though they never drop that level of excellence. They always keep it in some aspect. They may get outplayed, but it could be just a one-on-one exchange going in one way. But they always have that cohesion and inherent brilliance behind them. Whereas Kazna crew, it's like hits and misses sometimes. You'll get to see a phenomenal lineup at moments, and they show so much talent and potential. It's unbelievable. Like, just that, the play that they had in those 90s on the last map is mind-blowing, but other times it's just like, no, what happened to you guys there? It was a little bit like Himmelsdorf is the best way I can refer it to, as where they don't really get a look into it. It's more of a glimpse at, oh, we could have taken the initiative here. Why didn't we? No, okay. It's very hard for these guys to kind of find that balance, but Kazna crew have always been the team who can do it against Dignitas, so bear that in mind. And keeping in mind, obviously, you guys at home have faith in the crowd favorites here. You know, for Kazna crew, they are the underdogs, but you guys are backing them on paper. Dignitas are, you know, well above them, you know, previous results-wise, and even prior to that, you know, the offline finals that they've got under their belt, I'd say always Dignitas have stepped up, and it's impressive to see. But I never know which way to go on these, because Kazna crew, in theory, did very well at the offline events compared to Dignitas, because, well, they were there and they weren't. So there's always that, and then keeping in mind Kazna crew are the team that always can upset Dignitas. And then Kazna crew do have hot, you know, moments in time. So hopefully this is going to be a bit of a warm-up between these two. So we are almost ready. So guys, enough of me waffling on. Let's go into an introduction video to explain Ruinberg.
Ruinberg is one of our newer city maps, and it's fairly large, being 800 by 800 meters. There are 3 main routes of attack: the roads leading to the city, the road going through the middle, and the village area. Each of these have 2 important areas to control. The city has very large roads, plenty of opportunities for teams to flank. The long roads also provide for good sniping areas as well as corner shooting. Teams often push through the village area, and once controlled, the team can move on to the enemy's base. You should pick heavy tanks with high alpha damage for corner sniping, as well as a faster tank for the middle spot.
So, welcome in. We are going in the third map here, which will be Ruinberg. You heard the lovely tones of Joseph Müller there. And in the south, it will be Kazna crew, and in the north, Team Dignitas. Now, currently, it's in favor to Dignitas, still in theory 1-0, as the last map was a draw, so it doesn't really count towards the scoreline. So keep that in mind going into this, but what are we seeing initially between these two? So
Team Dignitas, a team that doesn't mess about. They don't go towards the city. They've always been the village favourites, and that's exactly what they're doing. You can see the whole of their team just filtering off there. For the side of Kazna crew, they're going towards that location, but just down where you would see most of the teams go, towards the kind of half-moon circle of a road. But they've also sent a heavy tank in the form of the MX Station to the left. And look at this, Kazna crew not messing about, getting the initial spots off. Shanish and Positive are going to be in the middle. And remember this before the engagement goes down. Kazna crew have to hold on. Well, they're doing that right now. They have got good connections towards Positive. Amazing damage coming in, but it is still Mojo to fall. Shanish now being the meat shield, but lovely connection coming in from Veko there at 5100. Takes out Positive. Hyber stands up tall, as does Paluda. Nice following shot coming in from Veko again, taking out Shanish. This is a stunning play from that man right there. That initial split towards the village, I doubt it, towards the city even, but that is paying off beautifully. The T1s will be dealing with Stalker, as the remains of Kazna crew backing out of that crescent moon, getting themselves in a better position to deal with the remains of Dignitas. And this initial exchange was incredible for Kazna crew. Absolutely inspirational. Something we could have even seen the meta of Ruinberg being broken there by Kazna crew. Coming from the side with Veko in that 5100, I was wondering what he had up his sleeve then, and he had an absolute cracker. Taking down the Shanish and also Positive with that fantastic S47. Absolutely pummeling from the side. I love it. It was absolutely brilliant. And I think although still Mojo did go down for Kazna crew, it was a worthwhile engagement for them. And that was just perfect prediction. Knowing the 2 T69s will be in the middle to try and do the initial damage onto them, and using that strength in many respects to their advantage. And now they're playing it from the city. They've put all tanks there, and you can see Team Dignitas are kind of flustered a bit. They're driving here, they're driving there, and they're trying to get themselves back into this game, because now it looks dangerous. See, this is my big defining moment for Dignitas. They've now been pushed out of their comfort zone. They've had the game kind of dictated by Kazna crew. How do they get back into this now? How can they adapt? And you can see Veko already lining up another shot towards Apple. Wow, on that 1390, just loses sight of him. But he knows what they're getting up to now. They're all kind of working it out. Hyver's still near enough to him. Each and every player locking this down. You can still see Stalkers around, but Paluda playing a little bit more passively, as is Runes. And they've got this nicely set up here. Each and every player keeping eyes on to, you know, a decent extent. Hyver will just
nip in there, take out Stalker, or at least I hope he will. And there we have it. So a bigger advantage now building towards Kazna crew. They can kind of now eliminate any vision that, let's say, Dignitas did have over that city, and they can start working towards a strategy they may want to execute. But how are we seeing Dignitas get themselves back into this one?
Well, Team Dignitas definitely still dangerous. You know, they have 2 AMX50-100s alive, you know, 2.8k HP in total, 3.6k damage in total if they can land all 6 shells. So there's still a dangerous potential. If we've got to remember, they got their best player, Applewell, still alive in the MX-3090. He can do 1,440 damage in that MX-3090 if he managed to land all 6 shells as well. But once these 3 tanks are reloading, they are finished. And that's where the T-69s from the side of Kazna could come into the equation, because they'll have the quicker reload. They'll be able to finish off the T-69, the MX-5100s with no problem at all. Corleone getting spotted out by Applewell. I think Team Dignitas kind of expected Kazna to go for the cap, but they haven't done that. They're playing it smart. That's all they need to do. They have every advantage. They have the damage. They have the positions. They have the T1s. Only still Mojo falling to the hands of Shanish in that T-69. But this is where Team Dignitas, with their experience, with their power, with their prowess, we'll see the Season 1 winners from DreamHack can come into their own. They can really start proving that they're one of the top teams in Europe, if not the world. Well, definitely the world, in fact. I think everyone will agree that Europe is the most competitive region at the moment. But now it's all on to Applewell. He was going to try and land a first shell. He does actually, and even Amarax Narlan, but that'll be good information for Kazna crew. Now they'll know that at least the MX-3090 and almost certainly the AMX-5100s there will be in the city, and they can start reacting that. Will they manage to get the rotate? Will they manage to get behind Team Dignitas? Because I think that's the best option, but they don't want to be throwing this. If they throw this, I will kill them.
Well, we're seeing what they've got left up their sleeve. Veko, Hyber, and Paluda, the damage-dealing members of Kazna crew, are mobilizing and making their way towards where Dignitas are going to be. So this could be a dangerous situation. They're certainly not backing away from a fight. Cobra, I can't even say his name right now. Cobra Leone has put out the remainders of Dignitas. Garat showing his hand as well. And I'm not sure if Kazna crew have given away a little bit of that positional advantage they had, but they certainly now have to work it back in here. Rune's looking to challenge, and they are trying to reposition now. It's going to really come down to these situations and how they position and how they make it happen towards their favor.
They almost certainly did give a little bit of a position away. They got themselves kind of flanked here, but look at Garat. He's actually going to get tracked into the middle, taken down to 1-1-3-1, 269. But look at that. The firing squad of Team Dignitas are here to stay.
Yeah, they certainly are. They are fighting back. Cobra Leone does go down, and now here come the big guys. Povol has the chance to push towards Veko, the man who made all the plays early on. Lovely shell coming in again, though, from him. Takes Povol down to only 1-1-0-4, so still a good chunk of health, but more shells like that, and he's going to be in danger. So Paluda and Hyber keeping eyes down this line, and now let's see what they can do. They are making their way forward, so they're not playing passively here. They want to make this happen, and they are still pushing. Rune's now joining in. This could be dangerous, but they're certainly looking confident. Garat has repositioned towards the flag, so they're going to have to try and keep that in mind, and they can't let themselves get surrounded here because they're playing now into the hands of Dignitas. They had the upper hand. They've allowed them to come back through. Where is the damage going to come from? And bear in mind, Applewell has just spotted them out, and he has just had a shell coming through from Paluda, did not connect, but you can see they're just peering in and out of their screens, dancing between the ruins of Ruinberg, and now Kazna crew have a little bit of a time limit on what they can do.
Yeah, they do, but that T1's not going to go for the cap. It's Arclit playing that one. The Resonant Artillery from Team Dignitas going to put the couple of seconds pressure on. Then he's going to leave, because that will tell Kazna crew that he is capable of capping. But with only 3 minutes and 10 seconds, he has got a time limit himself. Obviously, if you have one tank in the cap, it's about 1 minute and 50 seconds to do it, to get it down to 100%, or get it up to 100% now. But this is pretty even, Stevens. Team Dignitas showing that they have the potential to come back from a potential loss. But you know, you got to remember that Kazna have the extra damage-dealing tank in the form of runes in their MX-3090, so that'll be so important. But it's a small advantage when it comes to the skill of Team Dignitas, and we'll have to see how it actually turns out in this game. Applewell's going to be reloading that MX-3090, so about 30-something seconds, 38 seconds, depends how many crew you have, etc. Obviously, these guys are playing on 100% accounts. They have all 9 crew skills, depending on how many crew members you have in your tank. So he's going to actually be filtering off towards the village in the 1390. He's going to be joining Arclit, and that will give them a little bit more options, and it will allow him to use the tank to its great effect, which is to be a flanker, and that's exactly what the MX-3090 does back. Look at that, Runes and Arclit having a little bit of a one-on-one. Runes will come out on top, obviously, since he's in the MX-3090, but this could see Applewell creep into the game against him, as Runes is spotted, and he is in the middle. It's first shell connecting.
Yeah, indeed, he's getting the hell out of there with 553 HP remaining. Ooh, just about not avoiding one from Applewell coming through again. And now it seems as though the work from that one tier 1 has caused Kazna crew to just fall back so passively already. That's the big difference here in my mind, that just one small move, people ask why there's tier 1s, you can see what you say can bring. They bought so much time for Dignitas then.
Yeah, it did, but this could be a bit of an error from Applewell. He's pushing forwards. He probably got spotted. Rune spots him out, though. So Applewell retreating, 844 left on him. So a 3-shot pretty much for every tank on the side of Kazna, although it could go to a 4-shot, depends how much damage. But now we see Gerat and Pavel mobilized. 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock, heading towards the church in the city. And it's just extraordinary to see how Team Dignitas are still hanging on despite going down so early on. And some bad moves from Kazna crew, definitely not helping the situation for that team. But 3 to 4, you can see, in terms of tier points, it's still a draw. Obviously, Abbey was a draw, the win on the first map, going to Team Dignitas on Himmelsdorf. But now they're pushing.
Oh my word, stunning shot coming from Veko. He watched that 110%. He knew Dignitas were going to make their move down there, and he just connected a great shell onto his bubble. Stunning stuff from Veko. Hat-trick for him already. Looking for the follow-up onto either Gerat or Applewell, the last really remaining members of Team Dignitas, who've taken him down fairly low to 347. He needs Hyber, he needs Paluda, he needs Runes now to kick into action and actually deal the damage which they're doing right now. 374. Applewell now backing away. He did get slightly tracked then. Now Paluda comes in. It's a back and forth between these two. 10 seconds remain. It's not looking too good for Dignitas. And right now, Kazna crew could make a move out of this.
They definitely can, but look at that, 3 seconds left. If they do this down to 0, they will be taking the win, and that will be the case. Kazna crew coming out on top with spectacular plays on Ruhenberg. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. We were talking about how a team hasn't broken the meta. We could have just seen it.
That was a lovely setup at the start there. That's what I want to point out, how Veko played. And, well, they did lose. Was it still Mojo initially?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Still Mojo went down, but it was almost like they sacrificed him to make sure Veko could land those shots. They pulled out enough of Dignitas. They made Dignitas show enough of themselves that allowed Veko to get 2.2k damage throughout that. That was amazing play from him. I can't stress that enough. The initial exchange, Veko dominated. The one that got them the advantage at the end, Veko nailed. He was holding the push. He knew where Applewell was. He ignored that. That was nothing to him. He knew he couldn't push down towards him. That church push was their one weakness. They almost said to Dignitas, all right, guys, there's your chance. We know what you're up to. You've got to challenge us now. This is all you've got. If you want to win this one, this is where you have to go. And wow, Kazna crew, when they show class like that, that's the team that can challenge. That's what I was waiting for, because that was insane play. I can't just give it to Veko. Each and every one of them set up so well then. And that's seeing Ruhenberg at its finest for me.
Yeah, that was wow. Amazing. I think what's really interesting is the fact that Kazna crew perhaps got themselves into a bad position along towards the Team Dignitas base, which wasn't good. They could have lost it from that point onwards. If they played carelessly, they could have lost it. But then Kazna crew got themselves into a better position towards the last minute of the game, and then Team Dignitas made the bad positional play, going towards just the middle of the square. Then Gerat found himself in a world of trouble, and he actually took a while to get taken down, but eventually the inevitable happened, and he was, and that will mean, well, 32-16, double the amount of tier points, and a win for Kazna crew. But now we get to see a map we haven't seen a lot of throughout Season 2 and Season 3, and it is obviously mine, so we can jump straight into tank picking, as Kazna crew have started the proceedings there with a T1 and an AMX 1390. This could be where we could start seeing the Bison come in, although sources tell me that the 8.9 patch is the more likely in terms of artillery buffs obviously tier 4 to tier 7 being the artillery of choice for Wargaming to buff, because it was a little bit overnerfed in many people's opinions, including mine, and I think the majority of artillery players in the Wargaming.net league. So just waiting on the Team Dignitas guys to pick the next set of tanks. I think it could possibly be the MX-3090 in the T1, as Kazna crew also picked that. But I think if you're Team Dignitas, you're going to be a little bit flustered after that one.
I would be. That's someone doing Dignitas execution back to yourself.
Yeah, give it a taste of your own medicine.
Yeah, it really was. That minute exchange, it was so Dignitas to a T, that clinical precision and that domineering kind of, like, the way they set it up, it was so Dignitas. It was like looking at Himmelsdorf, but slightly kind of twisted. Every single crossfire was spot on, and I loved that way too much. I kid you not.
That was amazing. Really, really, really good. But now we can jump into the next tank pick, T1 T69 for Kazna crew. This is a map we haven't seen a lot of. It's our 4th map. So the lineups could be anything. We could see the Pershing coming in. We could even see the T32 work its way back into Season 3. We haven't seen it so far. It was a little bit of an odd pick on Season 2, but it started coming a little bit more common, as obviously the T69 changes to the heat ammo. Well, the heat ammo generally. Now the tracks act as spaced armor, and obviously spaced armor you can't do damage to all the time, so it just absorbs everything pretty much. So T69 ×2 coming out from Team Dignitas. Standard picks from them so far, gone for 2 T69s and MX-1390. And now Kazna crew also going for those 2 T69s. So both teams happy to mirror each other, although Kazna crew has the extra MX-1390. Team Dignitas going for the 3 T69s. So that discrepancy, but nothing unusual. Many teams switch those 2 tier 8 tanks depending on the map. But now just waiting on Team Dignitas to make their second to last pick. Could be something a little bit unusual. Probably not. Probably your double MX-1390s to complement those 2 T69s. Although it's such a tricky one, because mines, you can win it outside of the hill, but so often the hill is the main event. So you don't want to be picking tanks that can't have the gun depression to deal with those. But no, they're gonna do the middle ground, the MX-1390 and the T69. Last pick from Kazna crew is the T69 as well. So yeah, T69 heavy lineups, nothing unusual, because this is mines. It's pretty much a map which defined by that middle hill. Not quite as much as it was before when it was called Bagorki, if anyone remembers that, and obviously it was renamed to hills, and now finally mines. But now just waiting on on Team Dignitas to make their last pick. They're probably weighing up either the Pershing T69 or potentially the MX-1390, or even throwing a 5100 in there, depending on what side. If you start south, you want to have that 5100 maybe to provide the backup from the base. But it's the throw up, and it's really about the team. Okay, they're going to go for the T32 Team Dignitas. I saw it through Season 2 a little bit towards the end.
We saw it creeping in.
But Team Dignitas is going to throw the towel in, and say, okay, we're going to try this one out, and it's a decent tank. I mean,
I don't like it. It's too immobile for me.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I think we saw it once before on mines especially, and it didn't impress me that much. Not like the Pershing that I can see being completely viable. I feel as though the T32 not quite there. Maybe just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd one, because it does have so much HP and so much just bouncing ability, and the gun is decent, 320 average, but only 244 penetration, so it can actually bounce stuff like T69s.
Right.
But it's good if you get into those advantages, so on the hill. But apart from that, it's awful.
Yeah, so let's have a little bit of a video of how we could see mines played out, but now think about it with the T32 in the mix.
Mines, the original and best World of Tanks 7-on-7 map, famed for its incredible tactical opportunities. A small map being 800 by 800 meters. The map has 3 primary routes of attack: the left flank through the water, the middle area, and the town side. The key position on this map is the middle area, as it provides great firing positions and areas of attack for the team that holds it. The middle area's primary entrance is the road passing through the middle of the map. It is essential that the teams take key areas around the hill, both of which are situated just below the hill, the north side and the south side. These locations can provide for some amusing tactics. The hill isn't the only means of attack on mines though. There's also a housing area towards the east side that has a fair few routes of attack and provides great cover for advancing tanks. The water area can be an option for teams, however the soft ground makes it very hard for tanks to traverse rapidly but leads straight to the opponent's base.
So, welcome to Mines, as Joe Miller so beautifully said in that rather thick northern accent. We will be seeing Kazna in the south, facing off against Dignitas in the north, and what are we seeing so far? So,
Dignitas are starting north, so that's why they're taking the T32, as you just said. So, Positive going up towards the middle. He's going to be followed by Shanish, a completely normal start from the side of Kazna and Team Dignitas, although look at that Positive taking a lot.
Wow, down to 650 already. That T69 just took an absolute pounding. Nala received one shell, but that was about it. Hyper now gets one back. Look at Applewell, lovely positioning, good crossfire coming through already. Hyper down to 610, further shells connecting onto Still Mojo. Dignitas making this happen from afar, and no one being able to find any connection towards Applewell. This is lovely play already. Oh my word, and the damage isn't stopping. Hyper received another. He could not get away from it for the life of him.
Oh, wow, I don't know how he's done it, but he's just connected the shells. He's just done the damage, and you can see Team Dignitas know it. They're going to push up forwards. They know that a significant HP advantage, and that was just Applewell in a nutshell. He's just such a good player, so much inspiration. He is on reload now, but he connected all 6 shells, all that 1,440 damage. But now he's jumped off the cliff and got himself tracked right in the middle, which could be a bad thing. But luckily enough, a couple of tanks are reloaded. But I don't think it's going to be enough. He does get completely blown away, but the rest of Team Dignitas are pushing in.
Well, they're going to try and pick up from the mistakes he made, let's say. And right now, Kazna crew need to fight themselves out of this. Positive going low. Pobble down to 861 as well. But Paluda taking down to 57 HP. Hyper did manage to take down Positive in the meantime. But right now, it's not looking too good. Still Mojo's in trouble. Shanish hot on the heels of just about everyone else. Still Mojo very low. 141 for him. Garat looks as though he's going to be dealing the, well, the blow of death towards him, as now it's surely going to be his shot. There we go. Does finally pick it up, but now it's looking like a little bit of a lonely squad for Kazna crew. They're left in tatters after such a well-executed push from Dignitas, making their way over the hill, over the crest, using what Applewell did to the best of their abilities. That T32 continuing to try and connect fire towards Nalam, who's just going to back away. But Kazna crew in a little bit of a strange position now. They're certainly far away from where they'd want to be. How can they get themselves back into this?
It'll be extremely hard to do, and Garat certainly not making it easy. That T32 absorbing all sorts of damage, and not great blow by Still Mojo in that T69. Shanish is on reload though, so that'll be 25 seconds of respite for Kazna crew. But in terms of HP, Team Dignitas still have it. They still have the win in the bag if they just manage to execute this properly and not throw it like they did a little bit on Ensk. But in terms of tier points, both having lost tier 8, the MX-3019 and T69 going down for Team Dignitas, and the double T69 going down for Kazna crew. So pretty even in that respect. But look at that T32, still quite happy on 1,315 HP. And you can see the kind of brute force that comes with that tank. He's just sitting in the middle. He doesn't care. He's just going to sit there because he knows he can absorb all sorts of damage, and it will take at least a whole shell from a T69, or definitely more than a whole shell, 4 shells from a T69. It will need an MX-3090 to take it down if he doesn't bounce a shell. And Garat, he's such a fantastic T32 player, a real original as well. He was playing the T32 when I was playing in his team, and he's just amazing at it. And Team Dignitas at the moment just covering up all the holes, making sure that they have each and every weakness just blocked up and made sure it's not being exploited by Kazna crew. And you can see Kazna crew quite affected, quite badly damaged, sitting back as well, ready to deal with any initial push from Team Dignitas. Hyber is the one in most trouble though. He is sitting right in the middle, and anything coming from Team Dignitas will be focused towards him if it does come to another engagement, and Garat will be there to deal with that. So in terms of position, I would say Team Dignitas has it just because they also have the hill. But it's still pretty even. It could still go both ways, and I think it could be down to the Angel Killer, Stalker, Cobra Leone, and Dark Dawns, the respective T1 players of each team. But they're going to have to play awfully well, and that's where the focus for the next few seconds is going to be due. But look at that Rune still on 100% HP, Garat missing a shell, and Rune's trying to get some spots out. He's going to retreat because he doesn't want to get shot by Shanish on that hill. But it's so close. and with so much time left, either team could win.
Yeah, it's about that late execution, and I'm looking to see which player is going to really make all the odds. Runes is looking to find an angle, basically, at the moment. You can see him just out trying to position over, because he knows Hyber is going to be the initial target here of this engagement. Whenever, Dignitas want to make their move, he's going to be the guy who's going to get, the brunt of it pretty much. And Runes is the only player who barely got involved. He went after Applewell. Applewell made a bit of a Runes of all things and fell down the cliff. But Runes is the only one really available to move. He's free enough as it is. And another tier 1 will fall, and that's Shanish taking out Cobra Leone. So slowly but surely working away the opposition. But you can see that Narlem's clearly going to be spotted by Dignitas. Hyber is truly, had his presence fully made aware by Dignitas. And now, as we said, Runes is really the only free one, bar Dark Dawn, who can do about as much damage as a spoon can. So, really, it's all on Runes for me at the moment.
Indeed. But, put a spoon under a tap and you get screwed. So he could do wonders for his team.
What
just
is that
execute
analogy? That's appalling.
It's true, though.
Do you know what? Sometimes forks do it to me as well. I feel betrayed.
They're traitors.
They are. I'm safe with you. No, I'm not. Horrible people. This is what happens when you have slow games after such good exchanges.
Pobble trying to get some spots out though, and I like that because Team Dignitas, they have the hill, so they have the kind of safety. It's a nice little place to be. Always, if you have the T69s on the hill, they have the gun depression. They have just plenty of options. The T178, such a good gun, and Shanish, such a good player. Not to disrespect Povl in any way, but Shanish does outshine him in many respects, especially in the T69s. But it's about a 5100 play for Povl. I've always thought he's a better player there. Garat's actually going to be reversing, finally succumbing to pressure. But both these teams now with one map apiece. Obviously Himmelsdorf going, which seems like a year ago, to Team Dignitas, and Ruenberg going to the side of Kazna Crew and Abbey being the draw. So both the teams have one map apiece. You obviously need 3 to win. This is our 4th map. So Team Dignitas need to take this all Kazna Crew and then take the last map as well. So it's not easy either way. And especially if a team is willing just to draw it out. And that looks like the case for now. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. No team with a significant advantage. Some blind shots coming out from Garat. Almost landing, in fact. That's just his intuition coming into effect. He will actually take one. 257, trying to land it onto Runes. Runes will land another beautiful one. 218. Although low damage, 240 is the average for that F3 on the MX 1390. So he'll be a little bit annoyed, but that's just what happens.
Yeah, that was lovely play from Runes there. I knew he was going to be the defining player for them, but after those couple of shells came flying past, he thought, well, I can make a bit of a move, why not? So he did return those 2, connecting nicely back. But as we said, 2 minutes remaining on the board. It's looking all even, all square. You can see the likes of Narlem getting a little bit edgy there. Hyber not wanting to move a muscle, considering he will be the weak link for Kazna Crew if they do decide to make a push. And I'm waiting to see what's going on here. It felt as though Runes kind of edged Dark Dawn to make this move around towards the village. To keep eyes on, just to make sure no one can sneak past and slowly but surely gain a little bit more vision across this map as best they can. Almost like warding a bush. But anyway, we are going to see who's going to make the first kind of exchange if any more go down. But right now it seems as though, as you said, they are going to be playing for the draw here, which would take it all even to almost the final map, which is quite a daunting kind of moment for these guys. But they'll be truly playing it for the draw.
Yeah, if this one's a draw, neither team can take it 3 maps in the head. Obviously, if you're playing best of 5, you need to take the 3 to get the advantage. So if this is a draw, and the next one goes ahead, then and whichever wins it, it doesn't matter because you can't get the advantage. So they'll have 1 point each in the season rankings. But both teams, they don't want that. Especially Team Dignitas. If you think about it, Kazna Crew, this is their first match. They'll be playing Spale at some other date. So they still have chances. But Team Dignitas is 1 game behind already. They don't want to be getting the lower points. They don't want to be getting the 1s. They want to be getting the 3s. And that's why they're biting at the bit to push forward, to try and get the win here. 43 seconds left on the clock. I can't see a way in.
No, definitely not. Right now, it's looking a little bit dire for Dignitas. Runes is literally the sniper on guard for Kazna Crew. He's just holding that back line. Narlem doing just the same thing, keeping eyes on. Garat and Shanish once again peering up over that mound. Runes laying another shell fly. No connection this time, though, so a little bit of a difference there. and they will remain unscathed. Jaime getting a little bit nervous. You can see as soon as those names start popping up, you can see why he's nervous, because he's only on 364, so it wouldn't take a great deal for him to be taken down. More fire coming through, and maybe there's going to be a move here. Oh, another beautiful shot coming in from Rune, so I've got to say it. It's lovely, lovely work. Shannon surely has to be careful now. 1-1-2 left towards him. He's got to be careful. Back away. Don't say you're welcome. And there we have it. It will be a draw, which is surprising that Dignitas didn't try, you know, just go for it at the end then. I know they could have lost, but surely it's better than a draw. You know what I mean? In my mindset alone, because they're not doing this that well to this, you know, start of the season. They're really not. They're not the Dignitas that we saw before. We've seen, you know, a lot of top-tier teams kind of being not challenged by this new rule set, but they've been certainly pushed. I think that's the main thing. We've seen a lot of teams pushing back to that. So we've seen the aggression coming back into force. We're seeing teams executing well and knowing, okay, we've got to make a move here. This is where we show our dominance. And they can do it. But right there, that was very bland play from Dignitas.
Yeah, they definitely didn't get the advantage they wanted.
Yep.
Despite some good play by Applewell, like it was such a big mistake from him pushing over towards the water in front of the T69s. I didn't think he would be slowed down quite as much as he was. And then you've just blown away by some fantastic sniping. So that was the big mistake for them. Otherwise, they would almost certainly have won it.
It was inspirational initially, I've got to say it. Him being up there gave them that initial advantage. But why he decided to fling himself off, it really was a matter of that, and they suffered massively. That one move of slight overconfidence after a moment of brilliance, bear in mind, might have just cost them that, to be fair. In my eyes, I feel as though Dignitas could have probably built and then gone on to maybe win Prokhorovka. I wouldn't say that's a big step to go towards. They had that T32 to soak up the damage when they did make the push, and they would have the crossfire coming in. They could have claimed the hill, which they did anyway. And all it would have needed is Applewell to not do that. So that one player can make all the odds, and I think we just saw it there.
Yeah.
A little bit disappointing for me, personally. Like, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more from Dignitas then.
I think they could have given a little bit more if they so wanted to. It's just need to get the execution right. But yeah, I think they could have done better. But again, it's hard when you get put in those high pressure situations. But I actually think I might have got something wrong. Maybe got something wrong in my tiredness. I think regardless of, you don't need best of 3 anymore. I think if you just get the one more win, then you win, because that would make sense, right? So you can win by 2 maps or 3 maps or 4 maps or 5 maps. I think if whoever wins this one,
hopefully we can get an admin to
and gets 2-1. I don't know why, because I wrote these rules. Like I don't know. I'm sorry.
Why am I next to you?
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hashtag fire laughter. Move over, Semler. You've got a new person to fire. All I'm saying. If you're aware of that hashtag fire Semler or trance, any of those will do. But yeah, he's now going to be fired for not remembering his own rule set. Good job, buddy.
Thank you. But I'm pretty sure that would make sense, because what's the point of winning the last map anyway? So hopefully that's the case. Let's pray to God. But either way, it's 1 point or 3 points or 0 points. Well, it's 1 point.
Specific again.
It's
You're
1
doing
point.
really good
It's
today.
either 1 point or 3 points.
Would you like to go outside for a moment and just have, a little bit of a breather?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Let's just hope. Let's hope it's to do with the majority of the wins.
Bring back Joe Miller. Or, Steven maybe. God, all right, I'm not going that far.
Let's not push the bet out too far.
You might have just heard Melly cracking up in the corner.
Let's put Melly here. She probably knows the rules better than me.
That's a very good point. She might do. She might actually know the rules better. We aren't just waffling for the sake of it. They aren't actually deciding what tanks they want yet. So hopefully someone with, an IQ above 3 might be able to inform me what the actual rules are here.
Well, that would be Steven, which would make that invalid, because he's got about half an IQ. So
half an IQ. That is a new thing, all right? An IQ is a genuine unit. So anyway, enough of mocking the man next to me, bless him. He's struggling.
I've got too much stuff about just random tanks in my head. Like I forget stuff like names, which are really important, like birth dates and stuff like that. And I've just got things about the AMX3090 just whizzing about my head.
Give me a random fact about the 5100.
What?
Give me a random fact about the 5100.
AMX 5100. It goes 50 kilometers an hour.
Okay. Compare it to
potentially more.
Okay, well, compare it to the IS-3. What is one of their bonuses to one of its weaknesses?
So the IS-3 has high alpha damage,
right?
But it has a 12-second reload. Well, the AMX 5100 has a low alpha damage, 300, but also can pump out 6 shells within less than 12 seconds.
He does have some uses. All right, he may not know the rules, but he has some uses. And see, that's just me trying to make him not get fired after promoting his, sacking. Anyway, hopefully they do get the tank picks underway so I can stop putting him under pressure. I think they are just picking T1s right now, which isn't very exciting, but we can throw you to the screen anyway, so you can have a little look to see what's going on so far. It will be Prokhorovka, as we said, the map that I always pronounce wrong. So, we're just going to have a little look, and that's not quite the screen we wanted. There we go. That's why we're not allowing you to touch buttons either.
It's not going well, folks, but we have started tank picking, so we can at least do something I'm familiar with, which is tanks. Double T1 from Team Dignitas, just waiting on Kazna crew to start picking as well. They'll be the second picks, obviously, double T1 as well. So just getting those T1s out of the way, that'll mean a potential of 5 tanks of tier 8 coming out. Obviously, this is 742, the standard World Tanks esports format. A potential of 42 points within 7 players, meaning you can't take 7 tier 8s, you can't take tier 10s full stop. You can't take like a Jagdpanzer E100 or an FE 451B. It just would completely obliterate the opposition and would be pointless. So, yeah, double MX 1390, and that will be for both teams, Kazna crew and Team Dignitas, on our 5th map, Prokhorovka. Double T69 as well from the side of Team Dignitas, and that'll be mirrored by Kazna crew. They'll be looking at double T69 as well. So at the moment, 2 MX 1390s apiece, 2 T69s apiece, and obviously those TT1s as well. Last pick from Team Dignitas, the MX 1390. Last pick from Kazna crew, probably the 1390 as well. Yes, it will be. So they're going for the triple MX 1390, double T69, double T1 standard lineup from both teams. Not messing about, going for the mirrored picks, ready to show that skill. And coordination is more important than which tanks you pick, but more importantly as well that it's not just about the tank, it's about the player in the tank. That is the most important thing. You have your Hybers, your new multi-shows. They make the plays. They're the ones who always seem to carry their teams through if they can. But Dark Dawn is going down. He'll be replaced by Veko on this map. Obviously, Dark Dawn is the resident heavy tank player for the side of Kazna crew, while Veko is definitely the superb MX 1390 player for their team as well. So yeah, it's a good little switch up. They have strengths and weaknesses of each player. Everyone recognises that. When I was playing, and definitely don't want me in a heavy tank. I was definitely an artillery player all the way through.
To be fair, we can't trust you with buttons or rules, so I definitely don't want you near anything that can cause actual damage. Yeah, if I'm completely honest with you, in the nicest way.
I was never a T1 player though. That's the thing.
Well, thank God for that.
Apart from when I was a T1 player,
like, I was never a Tier 1 player until I was a Tier 1 player.
On Himmelsdorf, where you had to play T1 of your artillery, I used to go 2 versus 1 against other T1s and just win. That's how good I was.
Back in my day. So proud of you. When I was good at games and I knew the rules. It's a long time ago. It's all falling apart today, guys, because we don't know what the score is anymore. We don't know if it's a draw or if it's a win. And it's all down to my man next to me. Ain't it right, Oliver?
I'm pretty sure it'll be a win whoever wins this one. We'll just say that.
We'll just say that. We're making it up here on the spot, guys.
It'll be more logical. That's the thing. That's all about logic, man.
All right, it's like the golden gun. Did you ever play that in GoldenEye when you got the golden gun?
Of course I did.
All right, there you go. This is all it is. It comes down to this. Everyone's like, yes, indeed. So this is what it comes down to. This is like the golden gun game. We're just going to lie and pretend this is the correct result. If you're enjoying it, that's what I like to hear. Anyway, we're almost all ready to go into what could be the final map to define who might win, might lose, might draw. We're not too sure, but we're going to pretend. Anyway, let's get you into an introduction video towards Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and brushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
So, welcome back into this. We will be seeing in the south Kazna crew facing off against the north, which has the team Dignitas laying in wait. So, we will be into Prokhorovka. And what are we seeing so far?
So, Kazna crew charging straight up the middle with those AMX 3090s to T69s, hot on their heels, ready to provide the firepower if so and when needed. Team Dignitas also going towards the middle with their 1390s, but Pavel splitting off to the left with his 1390, going towards the village, towards the hill, ready to try and do some flanking maneuvers. It does come down to it. First couple of spots coming out, Runes and Garat spawning each other. Both will be on the reload, so both won't be able to engage. But Garat's playing quite aggressively. He could get caught up by a T69 as it will be reloaded. First shell coming out, missing though. So Garat getting away quite lucky. I think he even realized that he was lucky in that situation just by his driving. But first couple of shells, Hyber taking a couple, 636 left on his MX 1390. So once again, Kazna crew going down in the early game for no real advantage. Positive finally starting to reload. But Team Dignitas completely, just completely sweeping over towards the village area. They've actually taken it, and they have got the cover. They've got the higher ground. But can they make it work? As Kazna crew also have pretty good position, but right in the open.
Yeah, indeed. You're looking at Still Mojo right now, sitting right up by the train tracks. Baluda not too far away either in that T69, just holding the line. They lost that initial exchange. They're trying to find a way back in here for me. You can already see the shells are coming through. Applewell does take down Narlum. And more fire making its way across those railroads. You can see it's Applewell peering across, trying to get some connections towards the tanks just behind him. It's Veko trying to get the return fire. These 1390s playing as the linebackers almost right now. Hyber getting his way down as well, even after losing out in that initial exchange.
Yeah, but that wasn't particularly good for Team Dignitas as they had 8 shells, only managing to connect 2 of them. So about 500 damage between them. That's not particularly good for anyone, but I think Team Dignitas definitely have such a great position that it's going to be hard for Kazna crew to get back into it. If there's a team they can do it, and they are trying to do it with Runes trying to get the connection from the side, but not managing to do it positive, and Shani's trying to do some damage. 263 left onto Runes, taking down to 631. Hyber peering over again, but I just don't see how Kazna crew can work their way back into the one. They are completely surrounded. They are completely pinned down, and it's only a matter of time before Team Dignitas work out where they have to go, where they have to position themselves, and what they have to do to finally take this one. Positive, Shanish going over towards the middle, trying to get some shots off towards those guys, but can they connect them? Can they do the damage? And they know Runes is retreating, they know Hyber's on low HP, and I think these two are the playmakers. These two will be able to win it.
See, this is the issue. Even Runes and Hyber, you saw them on Abbey doing wonders, but right now, it looks as though the firing squad has just about arrived. Positive and Shanish now peering up, taking the damage towards the T69s. Paluda's going low. Still Mojo just about staying alive, but Paluda on 140 gets taken down by Shanish. Hyber and Runes could do nothing about that. Perfect positioning from Dignitas there.
Absolutely perfect, but look at Applewell. He's also having a little bit of a taste. Still Mojo's down to 372.
And now you can see Hyber going back in here. You've got to see this guy right now. He's challenging Positive, getting melted down to 146, gets taken out by Runes. Shanish left on complete HP, but caught off guard while reloading. Oh, there's the return fire coming in. 376, Hyber, get the hell out of there. Pavel now coming in, dodging shells like there's no tomorrow. Runes backing away. Veko trying to pick up the mantle, but he goes down. And you can see right now the Kazna crew are falling apart.
I was absolutely melted. That is the correct word I would use. Still Mojo still low though, but he's actually managed to connect the Dell as Positive is also reloading 222, but I think Garat's going to take him out.
Yeah, Still Mojo does go down to Shanish there actually, but anyway, it doesn't matter who claimed it because right now it is all the Dignitas show. Veko and Runes, the last two standing, the saving members of Abbey, once again having to dig so deep to take down almost the entirety of the opposition. Garat gets another shell onto him. Oh, but look at this, immediately return fire. 131, he is out of there. It's all on Runes again. One versus far too many. He could take down one, but not without the reply. And there we have it. Garat will land the killing blow. And Team Dignitas, quite possibly, if you know the rules, might have picked that game up. Did we get clarification?
I think they have won it. I'm pretty sure they've won it. But that was just bad from Kazna crew. Like, they went in the middle, and then they just didn't do anything else. Like, if you're playing from the south, you basically have two options. You can do what Odin always do, go towards that tree road, or you can do what most teams do, and that's go towards the village area. But what you can't do is sit in the middle, because if you do that, then you give away the middle, and you can't do much with that situation. And Kazna crew playing like they did, I think that was at DreamHack, no, not a DreamHack, might have been a DreamHack, but they kind of got themselves caught out and taken down very quickly. So yeah, it was only a matter of time for Team Dignitas. They played it slowly, they played it cautiously, got in the right positions with Shanish and Povol playing those T69s, and then managed to connect the shells when it mattered. But yeah, just not good from Kazna crew.
Yeah, nice to see Dignitas finally stepping up. But I've got to say, Kazna crew, though, on Rurenberg showed some brilliance. Abby, I think the way they handled the pressure was also impressive. But then again, Dignitas, they know how to step up when they have to. It's a shame on Mines, a little bit of poor execution, or maybe just individual, you know, moments, let's call it, where it didn't quite step up to the Mark Applewell. Eyes on you. But overall, Dignitas still looking good. They've had a shaky start to this season, though. They're certainly not the team we saw dominating Season 2. Teams now actually stepping up and beating them last time around, they would have just swept aside. You know, Odin Mortis, always talented, but never really able to challenge Dignitas on such a, you know, an even playing field like that. Yep. And this time around, just absolutely mowed them down. So even the Giants might be toppling this season. Who knows what we're going to see? It's still early days. But anyway, a bit of an upset. That one did go all the way through there. Dignitas claiming it just at the end. But, you know, my prediction, I did stand by Kazna crew, and, you know, it doesn't always pay off, sadly. I think Prokhorovka was a little bit of lack of judgment on some of their plays. That I felt they didn't really get into it that much for me. They always seem to be on the receiving end rather than actually taking it into their own hands and leading the game. And Dignitas sometimes are just very good at that, though, bear in mind. They can always just go, all right, we want to pick up this game. We're going to keep, you know, complete control of the map. The pacing is all ours. Any positions you want to get to, well, we're already going to counter that. And there was no way back in for, you know, Kazna crew. Once Dignitas put their foot down, there was no getting away from it. So you've heard our thoughts towards the matter, but I know a certain lady who's been giggling away, or cackling away, let's put it, in the background, and mocking my lovely co-caster while she's just been merely trolling around Twitch chat. So we're going to pass over to Melly, who's going to take you through, you know, some of the results from the poll and hopefully give you guys ideas of how it went down and have a little chat with us, because we miss her, because at the end of the day, I'm talking to a guy who battles spoons and forks for a living. So anyway, Melly, how are we doing over there, my dear?
Wow.
You okay there, Melly?
Trolling. Perfect description of what I do here. Well. The community was still for Kazna crew.
That's what we like.
It's
upsetting.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess nobody got the right score, since we barely managed to.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
We called it perfectly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But there is a nice tweet for you two guys. Oh, I picked it out and it's gone. Dear laptop, please work properly. Ah, here it is. Akis says, I have to say, thumbs up to the commentators. They're doing a great job.
Yay.
I'm
someone
someone
complimenting me.
I'm roped in with him?
Well, it's 40 minutes ago.
Oh,
Maybe
okay,
he
before it
changed
all went
his
downhill.
mind. And wrote in the Twitch chat that he doesn't like when you two fight.
We love each other deep down. It's fine. Deep down. Very deep down, you know.
No, that's basically what the community says. They favored Kazna crew, but in the challenge they were mostly for Team Dignitas, as it seems. But, oh, we have indeed someone guessing the right outcome. That's surprising. Well, congratulations. You definitely get one of the bonus codes. And the 3 tweets of the day will be rewarded as well. I will post them on Twitter in the next minutes, so keep your eyes on our Twitter account. And yeah, that's all from me. Hopefully see you next Thursday when I'm allowed in here.
We're not sure if we'll let her back in. I don't know. I might get Melly to cast with me next time. I think that's more of a viable option, don't you think?
Ooh.
You're going to mute Melly before she gets all abusive. It's fine. No, I'm only joking. But anyway, guys, we've had an interesting match day today. It's been one of those days, let's just say that. It's, you know, it's early in the week. Bear with us. But if you did enjoy it and you've enjoyed listening to us waffle on for a little while and you have enjoyed the tank action of the WoT Pro League Season 3, considering this is only match day 3, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's a lot more match days coming up. So obviously, if you want to tune back in, it will be match day 4 on the 19th. So it's not too far away at all. You'll get to see myself back here, this absolute mess, and the one and only Melly. So you might as well tune back in, because there'll be some more incredible tank action, some updates from all the regions, and a hell of a lot more of us. So why wouldn't you? So guys, make sure you follow the Twitters, make sure you follow the Twitch page, and we'll hopefully see you on the 19th.